Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's The Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
Coming up on this episode of The Entrepreneurial You,
I believe that each one of us have come into this world for a divine purpose. And creative entrepreneurs, they're visionary people. So they're able to see things, get ideas, and then create them. Now, frequently, either they can burn out, they can get tired, they can have some kind of illness, somebody can pass, they might move. There's so many changes that happen in life that sometimes you get a little lost.
Hi, I'm Heneka Watkis-Porter, your inspirational leader and host of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Bookophelia, Patois Apparel, and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And now, let's go to today's episode. Today's guest is an entrepreneur, visionary artist, and motivational speaker. She works with creative entrepreneurs who have lost their mojo and inspirational vision and helps them reclaim their power so that they can find the courage to create their great work. She's a seasoned graphic designer and marketer of an award-winning graphic studio in practice for over 30 years. She's a contemporary symbolist whose visionary paintings have been showcased at the United Nations World Conference for Women Against Violence. She lives with her husband and adopted son and works from her home studio at the Jersey Shore. I'm so happy to welcome the founder of Leslie Nolan Design, Leslie Nolan, to the Entrepreneurial You. Welcome, Leslie.
Heneka, thank you so much for the invitation.
Before we get really started, I have a fun question for you. And here is the fun question. Would you rather live underwater and swim with the fish, or be able to travel through space and touch the stars?
That's so funny because I already feel like I travel in space and touch the stars, and I live very close to the ocean so I could swim with the fish. So I am deeply cosmic and as deep as the ocean. So I'd say both.
All right. No choice made. Okay. All right. Thanks for that. So Leslie, I'm going to ask you at this time to just share your social media handle where you're most prevalent.
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn at Leslie Nolan. We're located under Leslie Nolan Design. You can find me on Facebook as well under Leslie Nolan Design. And my email address is leslie@leslienolandesign.com and website address www.leslienolandesign.com.
Thanks for sharing that. And of course, my peak performers, you know where to find me, henekawatkisporter.com or patoisapparel.com. And if you're on social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Heneka Watkis-Porter or Patois Apparel. So now we are going to be talking about reclaiming our mojo. And because that's what you help your clients do, Leslie. Now, what would you describe as mojo?
Mojo is an interesting thing. I would liken it to an energy. If you look up the term, sometimes they think that it comes from an African term, Moko'o, which means medicine man. And it's frequently regarded to juju, which is another term I like to use for energy. In these days and times, sometimes it's used to mean either sex appeal or talent. And I'll take both.
Okay. All right. So in terms of sex appeal.
In terms of sex appeal for Mojo?
Mm-hmm. Is it that you, okay, so your work, so I'm getting a little clearer on your work. Your work is in terms of creativity, or do you include the sex appeal aspect?
Well, I think that when we, holistically as a person, if we've lost our mojo, we use this term, you've lost your mojo, you've kind of lost your spark for life. I think it's all related. If you think about energy, sometimes it can be, how you're feeling about yourself, how you're feeling about your life, how you're feeling about your work in the world, how you're feeling about your purpose. And kind of all of those lights can go dim at times. So I work with people who are in a transitional change. Either something has happened to them in their life. It could have been a death of a loved one. It could be that they're just working at a dead-end job that they know is not working for them. Or they can be a business owner, an entrepreneur who's doing the same thing and they know that it's not quite working and they're ready to go to a different level. And they know that they need like a new spark, some new energy. They need to get their mojo back in order to create their great work.
And so some of those things that you've mentioned are a reason that, entrepreneurs would lose their mojo. The loss of a loved one, for example, or your dead-end job. And you did mention you're in a business that's, not really going anywhere that you'd want it to go. What are some of the other reasons that, entrepreneurs or persons generally could lose their mojo?
It could be that, say they're in a business and they're given more, they're doing mostly production instead of, say, design. Maybe they're more of a designer and a creator, and they're just having to produce. And they're like, like a little factory, and you can burn out that way. I've had other people who are not really doing the work that they should be doing. What's their great work in the world, what their divine purpose is. There's many people who are, they have to take a job, whether it has health insurance benefits, which is a big thing here in the States to have your health insurance benefits. And so they'll take a menial job to get that, but they really are not using their talents and their divine genius. They're not using their talents and their wisdom in the best way. I've also have a new client who's coming to me who started designing a new project and product, and something happened to her actually like through her community that set her back. And now she wants to reignite the flame to be able to push forward this project that she wants to enter out into the world. I've had other folks who've come to me. I have another new client who's come to me. He has a medical fitness company, and he's at the stage where he realizes he really wants to teach and instruct and have other people do the hands-on day-to-day physical training so that he can go out and do more lecturing and talking. And so he realizes he has to grow his business to a new level in order for him to be able to do that. So each person kind of comes to me for a different reason, but they're usually blocked somehow creatively. They've lost their mojo or their creative vision, and they know that there's something else they should be doing, and I help them find out what that thing is.
Earlier, when you in your definition and description of mojo, it sounded like a high energy, high impact kind of a thing. What about persons who are not as, because you have persons who don't, they're not as driven or passionate by nature. How would you describe mojo in relation to those persons who are more kind of on the reserved, kind of low key side of life?
I know some people who, I can give you an example of my one student, Maria. She is a very contained person. You would say that she's reserved. Her love of her life is doing yoga. And so that's a very peaceful, very introspective and meditative thing. And she was the one who had to take a job at Target for, health benefits. And over time, they no longer offered health benefits, and she felt kind of stuck in this place of, working, not doing the work that she should be doing. And after working with me, she created this amazing piece of art. And in doing that, she realized that there's many other gifts that she has that she wants to be able to offer to folks. And so now she has her own yoga and healing practice. So for her, I would say she's more low key, but she's very focused in what it is that she wants to do and quite determined. So for each person, it's different. For some people, the journey might just be in reclaiming, physical energy. I have another student who just was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And for much of what she's doing, she realizes that, it's really gaining a sense of self, being able to come to the place where you're able to create your life as you want it, and letting people know around you, your family and loved ones, that some things might have to change, and not accepting so much responsibility, so that she can take that time to either heal or investigate things in her life that mean a lot to her. So for each person, it works really differently. For some, the painting process itself is what it is that they want to create. There's many people who have creative talents, musical talents, writing talents that may have been swayed early in their life not to focus on that because they can't make a living. And they come to a certain point in their life where they think, well, heck, I've raised my family and I've done all this other work. When is my time? When is it time for me? When can I be creative and live the life I want? And those people, frequently come to me and work with me.
So in other words, don't confuse high energy and, movement with Mojo, because it can be displayed in any form. Now, what are some of the practices that you do to encourage getting back your Mojo when you've in fact lost it?
There's a few key pieces. One is you have to set your intention. Your creative intention is very important. It must be positive. It must be stated in the present tense. And you can even, set your intention in a question form. So this is really important and part of this process of this intuitive painting process that I do. Another one is you have to create a kind of resonance with your client. My clients I work with all over the world. We can do this through Skype. And I also work, of course, here in the studio in New Jersey. But whatever the person's belief systems are, whatever it does, if you have to say a little prayer before you begin, or you want to do a little meditation, just to kind of get your mind calm and in a place of being centered, we start there first, and then we begin to paint. So the modality is painting, and the process is quite unique.
Now, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back, Leslie, we want to talk about the courage to create great work. Do you want to see the world filled with better leaders? Filling the world with leaders worth following starts with you, and you can be that leader in your company, organization, or community. On May 4, 2018, join more than 100,000 leaders from around the globe at the world's largest leadership event, LeaderCast Live. Broadcast live from Atlanta to a community near you, LeaderCast Live will allow you to learn from leaders like Andy Stanley, Michael Hyatt, and Dr. Jim Lure. For more information on this can't miss event, visit HenekaWatkis-Porter.com and click on LeaderCast Kingston and invest in the future of your career, your organization, your community, and your world. Peak performers. Success is something that we gradually work towards as an end goal. But we need to be in the right environment to make it happen. Bookophilia is dedicated to providing a space for book, coffee and tea lovers, creatives, educators, students, and professionals who want ideas, innovation, and inspiration. They have a variety of high-quality books, a cafe, events such as book launches, signings, and art exhibitions, and professional services uniquely tailored to your needs, culture, and tastes. Their environment provides for the full literary arts experience, allowing for multifaceted creative expressions. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Bookophilia. Welcome back. And I'm talking with Leslie Nolan of Leslie Nolan Design, if you've just joined us. Now, earlier when my sponsor here, Bookophilia, Leslie, when I was doing the ad for them, I thought to myself, this place sounds a lot like what we're talking about and the environment that we're talking about to foster getting back our mojo. All right, so now we'll continue our discussion, focusing now on the courage to create great work. What do you mean by that, Leslie?
Well, that's a very good question as well. So as I was telling you about my student Maria, for her great work is really a yoga and healing practice. But she used this painting process as a way to inform herself, as a way to tap deep into herself, to understand what direction she needed to go into, and to almost, it was like a way of sourcing information. I'll give you an example of one of my other students, Flo. So Flo is a retired executive. She did very well in the work world. And she first started to come to me in her late 60s. And she started painting and doing my in my different women's groups. And she kept painting and painting and painting. And this fall, I just helped her hang her first retrospective of 30 beautiful works. And now she's selling her work in galleries in New York and New Jersey. So for her, the great work is the painting. And for each person, it's very different. Some of my entrepreneurial clients already have a business. So they're using painting as a way to create a beautiful piece of artwork. But the artwork is just the pathway to help inform them as to what it is they should be doing now in their work. For instance, this one new client I have, I'll give the example again, who has a fitness company, a fitness studio. He has a very big dream. So part of this painting process will help him in realizing these dreams that he wants to attain. So the great work can be either the painting, or it could be what your great work in the world is. What is your divine purpose? Why do you think you're here at this time? So Heneka, my question to you would be that, do you know what your great work in the world is?
Create life transformation through inspiration.
So how you do that, the modality doesn't really matter, does it? There's so many different ways that you can create inspiration. So as long as you know that, you can find so many different modalities to be able to create that in your work and for others. And that's what's so beautiful about this work. You know that. For some people, they're not quite sure, or they've forgotten, or it might have changed because they might be going through a transition.
And I think that would account for, sometimes we actually see individuals like they start one thing and then they move on to another thing. And persons look on and they think to themselves, oh, she seemed confused. But the reality is, based on our conversation, Leslie, is that, though your purpose, which is, for example, in my case, life transformation through inspiration, that's my purpose. How I go about doing it. So for one time, it may be this podcast. At another season, it may be, okay, I'm speaking with, motivating entrepreneurs or persons who want to become entrepreneurs. Or another season, it could be that I'm writing books. Or another season, I'm creating companies, I'm creating businesses. So this kind of help to cement and explain a little more about, purpose, and which based on your explanation, another term is that great work that you were created to do.
Exactly. I believe that each one of us have come into this world for a divine purpose, and creative entrepreneurs, they have this amazing ability they're visionary people. So they're able to see things, get ideas, and then create them. Now, frequently, either they can burn out, they can get tired, they can have some kind of illness, somebody can pass, they might move. There's so many changes that happen in life that sometimes you get a little lost. So they already have this kind of natural ability. And sometimes you just need to go on a new journey with yourself to just create that spark, to paint your way out of the dark, and to find your creative power. And that's what I help people do.
That is so very important, because so many times we get lost in doing what we're doing, get caught up in the hustle and bustle, and we just kind of lose ourselves and forget who it is that we are on the inside, just being bogged down by doing all these many things and ensuring that we have the buck to pay that bill and all of that.
That's correct. We're busy working, doing, and you can lose yourself. You can lose yourself if you're an entrepreneur and a mother, or perhaps you have a business and you have to care for somebody elderly in your family, or, you might have many responsibilities and you're just running all the time. Sometimes you just need to slow down a little bit, recenter, regroup, be able to have a practice where you can regularly go and kind of touch back within yourself and think about, is this working for me? What else, or how can I shift things a little bit to go on the trajectory of where I'd like to go and what I'd like to create and what kind of vision I want for myself at this point in my life. And I think it's important to do that every once in a while.
What are some of the tips that you can offer to our peak performance community, Leslie, to foster that creativity that will ensure that we don't lose our mojo?
It's very important to be able to, you have to take care of yourself. Health is a very big thing. Frequently we're doing, and we're not taking care of ourselves. So scheduling that time to take care of yourself, whether it's, physically working out or doing your exercise, make sure that you're eating properly. Make sure that you're giving yourself the permission to be creative. It sounds ridiculous, but in our culture, it's really not, it's almost like poo-pooed. That's not necessary to be creative. You don't make money being creative, but that's not true for creative entrepreneurs. But for other people, they've been given that message. And there's something about tapping into your creativity, going to this place deep within that it enlightens the mind, especially if you're writing and painting. You're using both hemispheres of your brain. So then you're making new connections. There's lots of neuroscience about making new connections. It helps you problem solve. It helps you see things differently, creates new perspectives. It's also, creativity can be a great thing for team building with businesses. And it's a great way to kind of brainstorm if you need to come up with some new ideas. I see that you also do these really cool T-shirts.
Yes.
It's just a wonderful way to say, I need 12 new ideas.
Well, you're absolutely correct right there, because that's exactly where I'm at right now. In fact, need to schedule in my design time because I've been so caught up, Leslie.
You have to get kind of quiet, and you got to have that sense of play. Because, I have a beautiful little boy who's 5 years old, and I just watch his enthusiasm is so beautiful. He loves to sing. As he's getting dressed, he's dancing, and he comes home with this great artwork. And it's just like a natural part of his life. At what point is it okay to say, put all that stuff away and grow up? I mean, that's what makes you happy as a human being. Color and crayons and writing and song and dance. Those are all beautiful ways to express ourselves as human beings. And I think it's very, very needed. And, we have enough commercial art. We have a lot of beautiful commercial art. And it's a good way just to get back into yourself and just to create just for the sake of creation.
Right. So on this very interesting point here, we are going to be closing. And Leslie, you did say that you have a giveaway for our community right here. And I want you to share that, as well as share with us again your contact details.
Sure. So for anyone who's listening, I am giving you a free Mojo breakthrough session. That's 50 minutes. It's normally $175, so it's a wonderful value. In it, you will find out what your creative vision is, what might be holding you back, and some steps to move forward. And this is for anyone who is lacking some mojo in their life and needs a new spark. And you would sign up with Mojo on the web at mojo.co. mojo.acuityscheduling.com. And Acuity is spelled ACUITY. Mojo.acuityscheduling.com. And if you have any questions, you can always reach me at leslie@leslienolandesign.com or www.leslienolandesign.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Thank you so much. That is great. Peak Performance, that's a great value there, Leslie, sharing with all of us. So please make sure that you go check her out, that you go grab that breakthrough session. You never know what may be revealed to you. Leslie, it has been a pleasure talking with you, having you on, sharing about our Mojo, helping us to be on that path, to keep on that path, or if it is that we have wandered off a bit, to bring us back to center. Thank you so much, Leslie Nolan of Leslie Nolan Designs.
Thank you so much, Heneka. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you today.
And now, a word from our amazing sponsors.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mahfood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
What do you know? We have come to the end of another great episode of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. I trust that you learned something and that something resonated with you so that you can share with others. And speaking of sharing, I'd so love for you to leave a comment on the show notes page of each episode. Well, we're talking about this one in particular. Leave a comment at the end of the page so that when you go the topic, you click down. And at the end, there is an option there for you to comment. If you're accessing through iTunes, then by all means, I'd love for you to leave a rate and review. That will keep us as a top-rated podcast. It means a lot to me for you to help me out in this way, right? I know you are listening from all over the world, and I so appreciate it, from Japan to Germany to India to Pakistan, everywhere in the Caribbean, in the United States, in Jamaica in particular. Big up my Jamaican peeps. Big up those, of course, in Ohio and all those other states that persons are listening in from, that you are listening in from. I so truly appreciate you. Now, if you want to reach out to me personally, you can actually send me an email, send it to Heneka Watkis-Porter at gmail.com. I am truly looking forward to connecting with you. If you want to send me a voicemail too, you can do that through my website. Just go to the middle at the right of the screen. There is an option for voicemail when you go to henekawatkisporter.com. I do want to hear from you. Remember, you were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. Walk good.